In the first month after submitting your personal application, the police might come to your home to check if you actually live there or not. If you have these documents, well, you won't get it because you don't have them.
How can the process of obtaining the card be accelerated? Either the process of registration, the waiting for a decision, or the process of actually receiving it. This card...
There are several ways. The most common is to write a request for acceleration. It seems the decision is positive, the documents have been taken, but if the decision is for a year, there is the possibility of an appeal. We can appeal such decisions and request a card for 3 years, especially when there are grounds for it.
About legalization. In Poland, there are already memes circulating throughout Europe. Poland is indeed not the fastest country where you can obtain a residence permit, but still very interesting and advantageous in terms of conditions and reasonableness. In this video, I would like to discuss how it actually happens, depending on the possible industry, where it's easier, where it's more difficult. In short, how much time should a person realistically plan for, especially if they are watching this video while still in their own country, so they truly understand the real timelines?
Very good and appropriate question, Stas. I would even slightly rephrase it. When should one apply for a residence permit to receive it? Before the expiration of their visa or legal grounds for staying in Poland? This is very important for many people. Many need to maintain the possibility of traveling. Many need to maintain the possibility of leaving and also re-entering. Let's take the Masovian voivodeship as a classic example and break it down, step by step, how things will proceed, the timelines, and essentially how much time we need to allocate for obtaining a residence permit. The first stage. We must ultimately decide that we are applying. We make the decision, and from that moment, we immediately count 5 weeks. These are approximately the timelines, within which, in a foreseeable time frame, you will be given an appointment. But there's a nuance. Appointments are only made on Mondays, only on the MO's website, and only from 8 to 10. No one can guarantee an appointment on Monday. Even we don't guarantee it. Well, I honestly admit that it sometimes takes me 2 and sometimes 3 weeks to schedule a person for submission. Accordingly, on average, 2 months just to simply submit the documents. We haven't collected anything yet.
You wait for 2 weeks?
Yes, and after 5 weeks, I am already going to submit.
After 5 weeks, they give you a submission? Yes.
So, 2 months in total. To summarize, yes, from the moment you decide to apply to the moment you physically go to the office and bring them this folder of documents, it takes about 2 months on average.
Okay, got it.
What happens next? Next, your case goes to an inspector who takes it, and an internal review begins. Who checks? Absolutely all Polish authorities, to the extent that within the first month after you apply, police officers might come to your home to check if you actually live there or not. There's nothing scary about this procedure. It's a standard routine, procedure to verify whether the foreigner is actually present in Poland or not. I went through it myself, the police came to me, and they were lucky that I was home. An important point. They only come during working hours. But they are people too, right? They work during business hours and rest in the evening.
And during that time, you might actually be working?
Exactly right. And in this case, as a rule, the police note that you weren't home. They might call your neighbors to ask if such a person lives there, resides there. If the neighbors confirm, everything is great. If they don't, well, at most, you might be summoned to the office to appear and show that you are indeed in Poland. There's nothing scary about this procedure. It's quite normal. Thank you.
Great, you've watched up to this point, which means you're really interested in legalization in Poland. Support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and leaving a comment below. And if you want us to work on your legalization, on your case, then below. Under the video, you will find all the links. And let's continue watching the episode.
I'll jump ahead, because I know many have one question while I'm in the process. While obtaining a residence permit, can I cross the borders of Poland, leave, and so on? The law does not prohibit either leaving or entering. But there's a small nuance. Why did I start by saying that many need to leave the option to return? Currently, the situation is not very good. People are applying late. And essentially, during these 2 months, while we wait to apply, their legal documents for staying in Poland might expire. Once we have applied officially, we are staying legally. We can stay, and we can also leave. But to return back, you already need grounds. Therefore, it's an important point. It's best to apply while all legal documents are still valid for the maximum duration, so that we have time to receive this card.
One does not interfere with the other.
Exactly right. After submitting the documents, the first month is for verification, and up to 4 months, a decision is made by the Office for Foreigners regarding your administrative process. It will be clear, essentially, what the decision is. It will be clear that it has been made, but it won't be clear what it is. And then it branches into 2 paths. The first path. We are talking about a positive decision. In this case, we expect another approximately 3 to 5 months to receive the coveted SMS, with the date and time when we can appear and collect both the decision and the card in hand. And here, it might not be the end. It seems the decision is positive, documents are collected, but if the decision is for a year, there is an opportunity for appeal. We can appeal such decisions and request a card for 3 years, especially when there are grounds for it. For example, an ordinary YDG member, a role for a special one, economic activity. An individual entrepreneur is working, he has 1 or 2 contractors. In a year, he will come and he will still have 1 or 2 contractors. Nothing will change globally. At most, rates might increase or the contractor might change. It will just be a different one. But overall, nothing will change. In this case, I would even recommend appealing the decision, because after all, it's an annual card. And we need to understand that in 6 months, we will apply again.
Well, even less, yes.
Because we need to set the possibility.
I applied for 3 months.
Yes. Accordingly, if we get it for 3 years, that will be the end of it. That is 2 months for registration and submission.
5 months.
3 to 4 months for the decision to be made. And another 3-5 months to collect the documents. This is the best case scenario. Well, now sum it all up and you'll understand how much time you need to allocate for obtaining it.
On average, 8 months?
8-9 months. This is in the best case scenario. Well, that's when everything worked out, everything is fine, and everyone is satisfied. There are cases when things don't work out, and we've now reached the point where we've received a positive decision for 1 year, and we're talking about wanting to appeal it. Immediately allocate 3-5 months for the appeal, decision-making, and obtaining a new decision with 3 years. It's rare to receive a negative decision. This almost never happened in my experience. Almost all appeals are confirmed with 3 years. There's no need to be afraid of this if there is a legal basis for it. Well, that is, we earn everything there, fulfill all the requirements as expected. If we receive a negative decision after the decision itself is made, that is, in 3 to 4 months from the Foreigners Affairs Office, we have 7 days to appeal this decision. The appeal process occurs in the standard way. We receive a negative response by mail to the address specified in the application. We study the document, understand how much time we need to appeal the decision, how much we are given. Currently, on average, it's 7 days. We prepare the appeal, gather the necessary set of documents, send it to the office, and wait again. 3 to 5 months while the appeal is being considered.
Listen, 7 days is quite a bit, by the way. Well, you really have to react very quickly.
Yes, but it's Poland, with its own nuances. Honestly, in Belarus, after receiving a letter at the post office, I could just toss it aside and forget about it. In Poland, I know that you absolutely cannot do that. You need to open it immediately, because the 7-day period starts from the moment the letter is received in hand. And you will receive it in hand because at the post office, they will give it to you directly in hand with a signature. And accordingly, from that moment, the 7-day period is counted, from the moment of receiving the letter. Not from the decision being made, but specifically from receiving the letter.
This is an important point, so that people don't think I didn't literally have access to the mail.
Well, let's break down a classic situation. Friday. Did you receive the letter at the post office? It's already Friday, you have family, kids, you're not up for reading the letter, you forgot. Woke up on Monday, darn, the letter. And 3 days. All 3 days have already passed. And good lawyers, those who work competently with appeals, always have clients. It's not like you kick the door open and say, here's my appeal, give me all the documents in an hour. No, it doesn't work that way. As a rule, there is also a certain period of time when a lawyer can take the case to work on. So we have 4 days left. And I don't know if my lawyer can fit it in within those 4 days or not. If we look at reality now, no. I would immediately tell the person that I won't take it on, I just have too much workload, I can't handle it, I won't have enough time to do it well. So, on one hand, it seems like a lot. On the other hand, it's very important to open letters, especially from the Office for Foreigners, and study the deadlines for responses. This is a fundamental point.
And let's summarize once more. What are the deadlines for Warsaw? Name them again.
So, 2 months from the moment you decide until the moment you physically go and apply. 3-4 months for the Office for Foreigners to make a decision, and approximately 3-5 months to receive a positive decision in hand.
Which you literally don't know.
Which you don't know. Which you don't know if it's for a year or for 3 or for 1.5.
And if you are denied, how do you find out about it?
Then you find out by mail. After the decision is made by the office, so 2 months, 3, 4 have passed, and another approximately 7 to 9 weeks pass. Now in Warsaw, until you receive a negative response at your address actually, by mail to the residence address specified in the application. So you find out about a negative decision much earlier than a positive one. Earlier, yes, I remembered, but unfortunately it's a fact. And accordingly, after receiving a negative decision, you have 3 to 4 months for an appeal. And then again, 3 to 4 months to receive the card.
Tell us more about other voivodeships. How do the timings differ in these voivodeships? What nuances are there?
In Wrocław, we change the registration, apply according to the registration address. Under any pretext. Why? Because the management is completely unclear. Well, I mean, there are cases that are reviewed in 6 to 7 months, resulting in a good positive decision, and there are cases where they last for 3 years. You write, complain, even take them to court, and they don't care.
Can you refuse? Is there a procedure where you just realize that the case won't proceed and you can take back your documents or refuse the process and reapply in, say, Krakow or Warsaw?
You can refuse the process, or you can transfer it. Or transfer it to the same process, to Krakow, for example.
That's interesting. It's a life hack for people, right? If they're stuck.
That's a plus. 2-3 months for the consideration of the administrative process.
Well, look, when you've already been waiting in Wrocław for 2 years, then 2 months to transfer somewhere else.
However, for this, you must reside in Krakow and have a rental agreement in Krakow. That's an important nuance.
Our people are smart. They know what kind of arrangements exist. So here we provide somehow from a legal standpoint. I've lived in Krakow for 9 years, and as far as I know, it's the most lenient voivodeship.
The best administration. For working with foreigners, because they are open to dialogue, they can call, they can explain.
Email there.
They can write an email, or they can frankly tell you not to even come if you have these documents. Well, you won't get it because no. Yes, and that's a normal human approach.
Okay, and about Gdańsk?
Gdańsk is also a complete gamble. Previously, it was a more or less manageable process, and over the course of a year and 2 months, everything could be obtained on time. Now, it's unclear. Processes are being delayed. Gdańsk and Wrocław are probably the 2 cities where I wouldn't recommend applying for a badge.
There is an option to apply in another city.
Well, it's not too late for them either.
And it's too late for them as well.
It's too late for them because literally, according to the latest information, last week we had a client in Poznan who is urgently moving to Warsaw. The administration has changed the conditions for submitting documents. Now documents are submitted only by mail and will reach your administrative process in the best case in 20 months. That's before your administrative process. In 20 months?
But it won't even be reviewed by then.
That's just it. It's unknown how long it will be reviewed now, and then it's also unknown how long it will take to collect the documents. Therefore, in some cases, you have to move to other voivodeships or find rental agreements.
Are there any ways to somehow speed up this process? Either the registration process, the waiting for a decision, or the process of actually receiving it, of this card. Can anything be sped up?
The process of obtaining the card can be sped up when we know we have a positive decision. The administrative process itself can be expedited if we have a substantial reason for it. Almost everything can be accelerated, but there are no guarantees. There is no guarantee that everything will speed up. There is a case where a person was receiving a grant, and one of the requirements for obtaining the grant was having a European residence permit. Naturally, the person did not have it. But all these requirements were properly formulated, and in addition, we managed to obtain a letter from the grant organization recommending that the person be allocated such an amount of money to develop a business, specifically in Poland, specifically with Polish entrepreneurs and so on. This letter helped, firstly, to speed up the administrative process, and secondly, to obtain the card itself in hand. Because Poland is still focused on replenishing its own treasury. By spending grants in Poland, what they do is replenish it.
And how to speed up the process of obtaining the card?
There are several ways. The most common is to write a request for acceleration, which is a standard request to expedite the administrative process. But this should also be approached very meticulously. There must be grounds for you to be given the documents earlier. As a rule, for our clients, the main pool of our clients are either entrepreneurs or IT professionals. They constantly need to go on business trips. They participate in some conferences, they are involved in contracts. Here, a good leverage is the fact that the person needs to leave, otherwise either the business activity will collapse, won't generate income, negotiations won't take place, and the client will refuse them. Or under threat. The legal entity, because the person managing the project won't be able to attend important negotiations with their client. And, as a rule, the organization provides recommendation letters stating that the person is indispensable, that nothing can be done without them, and the entire company would fall apart if they don't leave now. And if it's an individual entrepreneur or an employee, they gather all these letters and go to the administration to request, please, expedite the administrative process.
Well, yes, and it turns out through empirical research, we found out that Krakow and Warsaw, Krakow is absolutely wonderful. Warsaw, the average speed of obtaining in Wrocław and Gdansk. No, it very much depends apparently on the inspector's situation and retrograde Mercury. Accordingly, by choosing a city, you can also influence the entire process of obtaining a residence permit.
Yes, right.
And now the last question regarding small towns, some small voivodeships.
We experimented with this too, because there was interest, and we thought we would find something. Loopholes. But in fact, there aren't any. Everything happens as follows. Small towns collect applications and send them to the central regional city. So roughly speaking, if someone applied in Zielona Góra, they went to Zielona Góra, specifically to apply so that the documents are accepted quickly, because they accept them and send them. The question is then reviewed and sent back, which delays administrative processes, not speeding them up in any way.
It's better not to use such a life hack.
It's better to talk to a specialist who directly handles administrative processes. The reason I emphasize the word handles, because only this specialist truly knows the current market situation.
You mean they handle them, not just fill out applications for money?
Yes, someone who works with foreigners, who submits them himself, or whose company submits them. Because the people who fill out applications, their task is to fill out the application. They earn money from this. They can tell you anything. In general, they might say, you can apply tomorrow, but in reality, that won't happen. It's always better to get information from experts.
Thank you for watching this video. I believe it was useful for you, and if so, support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Below the video, there is a comment section. Ask your questions, discuss the episode, and we will be happy to answer your questions.